All right, go ahead.
Hi. Okay. Hi, my name is Donna Fairhurst, and I'm so excited to be with Trey Downs on Your Superior Self.
Perfection. Donna, thank you so much for joining. This is going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm vibrating.
I don't even know where to start. So we just had a pretty lengthy pre-call, whatever you want to call it, green room conversation. Let's start with this. So you grew up in a, you were telling me you grew up in a secluded place, right? Like you were, I guess, one of the only children around, right? Like
In the first 4 years.
in the first 4 years.
Mhm.
Um, and you also told me that you're all the clairs, clairvoyant, clairaudient, all of that,
Mhm.
medium. And then you told me something very interesting, which I've been studying quite a bit of lately, near death experiences. You've had not one, not two, three.
I've actually had four, but the first one I don't remember. I just have what my parents put together and told me much, much later. And I only talked with them about that just before each of them passed away. And
Hmm.
they brought it up with me. So apparently my heart stopped and I technically died when I had polio. And I had a very, very high fever. They rushed me into an emergency in the nearest town. My father took me in. My mother wasn't there. My mother was in Calgary. This was in Claresholm, Alberta, the hospital I was taken into, and about 100 miles away. My mother was in Calgary doing a baby shop for my brother, who was not supposed to be born for another 8 weeks. And she went into premature labor and was rushed into an emergency hospital in Calgary. And so my dad was in one hospital helping me with polio, and my mother was in another hospital giving birth to his son. It was a really kind of strange family dynamic.
Hmm. That is strange. And you were telling me that you were born with all the clairs, all these gifts, all these talents. And which one did you say was the strongest?
Always clairaudience. And
And you
and
can hear things and see things. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, I have all the clairs. They come in kind of clairaudience. I hear it first. I'll always hear a voice or uh, it's almost like I hear the wind, the sound of the energy of the spirit coming in. I hear the sound first. And quite often the sounds resonate with things that resonated in their lives. If somebody really liked fly fishing, I can almost hear, the stream and the reel of the
Mhm.
fishing rod. And then I'll get a sense of whether it's a male or a female, an adult or a child. I get animals. I was laughing at your podcast with Kylie or Kelly, and she was talking about the horse. And I've had so many horse experiences with horses coming in. It really made me remember some good old times when I was first doing this. So it was quite exciting, really.
That's amazing. I'm assuming you had a lot of friends like that other people couldn't see growing up. Is that right?
I did, and it got me into all kinds of trouble, which is one of the reasons why I kind of shut it down very early in my life, because I learned that nobody else saw these other beings. And I mean, I saw what I believe people would now call fairies. I saw nature beings, which I believe people would now call elves or little people. I always saw angels. Angels are a huge, huge presence, but they can bring their size down to fit whatever your size is. So an angel will never appear to a child as this huge looming figure. An angel will come in to a child as a small light that glows and then grows to about the size of the child, and it will present itself as male or female, because angels are androgynous, but we give them human
Features, stuff, right?
features. Yes,
Yeah.
male or female features, so that we can integrate them. It would be too much for our mind to try to handle if we saw their energy as it actually is.
So you said it got you into trouble. I'm assuming that I mean when you're seeing this stuff and seeing angels and elves and stuff like that, and are you telling people about this? Or are you keeping that to yourself?
Well, initially I was, I would be saying, oh, the little person, the little man by the tree told me, or I have a lot of native indigenous peoples come to me a lot, and I have a lot of connection to their way of being, and I would tell that to my father or my mother or my brother, and my parents would get really, at first they just thought I had a wild imagination, and then they thought, well, she's a little bit crazy. And by the time I was 12, they were, well, earlier than that, 9ish, they were really concerned for my mental health because I was, always kind of off talking or staring off into space, listening intently to somebody else, or playing with someone who wasn't there. And I always knew if something was going to happen and they told me something was going to happen and I said it and then it happened, it would make my parents very upset. They were both from very traditional backgrounds themselves. My dad was Roman Catholic and my mother was kind of a meld of Methodist Baptist United Church, and kind of bounced between all three of them. So it was uh, a strange religious dynamic to grow up in. And then I had all of this other stuff. Now, what I know now that my mother did not know until I told her was that her mother was just like me, and that my father's grandfather was just like me. So I had it from both sides of my genetic lineage. And then I found out many, many years later through a lot of deep past life regression work that I had it in from previous lifetimes in different
Cultures.
lifetimes. Yeah. Yeah.
uh you're hitting on everything that I love. Near death experiences, past life regressions. Do you do those? Do you do the past life regressions in your therapy or in your
Um,
coaching?
I haven't, I don't feel qualified enough to do it. I've dabbled in it with really good friends that are, very into it and that, and I have I've dipped into it once or twice to explain something to people without regressing them. I don't tend to regress them and have them experience it. I tend to just move into the space, move into
Mm.
the lifetime, see it, and bring the information they need from it.
So you've been regressed though.
Yes.
Okay. And how was that experience?
Oh, the first time it was so sudden. The first one was very frightening for me.
Mm.
And it scared me off for a while. But then I saw the beauty in it, and that the frightening experience was just looking. It's like if you watch a really scary movie, and the lifetime I happened to go back to was I had a very violent death, and I went right. I didn't traject through the life. I went bam to the death, and that was because that part of my spiritual DNA wanted to come forward and tell me why I was so afraid of something in this lifetime.
Can you share
I
that?
Yeah, in this lifetime, I have always been extremely sensitive about my neck. Like you'll see, I don't wear anything tight around my neck, and I don't like anybody touching my neck. I don't wear jewelry that's close around my neck. I don't like earrings that long ones that would hang and brush your neck. God forbid anybody come up behind me and touch my neck. They're going to be really sore for a long time. And it's such an instinctual action, and I've had it since the day I was born. Um, Even my mother said as a child she couldn't, stroke my neck or anything like that. I would just start screaming. So in this regression, I bounced back to a time when I was a monk in what I presume was Nepal or Tibet, really in the high mountains. I was in a monastery type temple on a mountainside, and I was what I can only describe as a warrior monk. So I was a
Warrior monk.
perimeter.
That's like two opposites, right?
I know that the ultimate duality,
I want to
right?
be a warrior monk.
Warrior monk. Well, it's not as negative as you think it is. So that my job was to assess, to guard the perimeter of the inner temple. So I was one of a very small group of monks that was actually armed,
Mm.
but not armed with anything as lethal as a knife. So um, it. I was protecting. There was marauders. I was protecting, and I was dealing with one person with whatever type of wrestling it looked like I was doing. And another person came up and grabbed me from the back of my hair. And I was bald on top here, but I had like a pigtail.
Mhm.
What I can say is that I wasn't completely bald. And I was male. And they grabbed me by the scruff of my hair at the back of my neck and pulled me back and garroted me.
Oh,
And so that was one.
sure. Yeah, that
And
traumatized anyone.
in subsequent lifetimes, I found that I was hung twice and strangled once. So to have 4 lifetimes that I know of where I died traumatically through
Yeah. Yeah.
trauma to my neck.
So you talked about that. You said soul DNA, right? Like, do we carry that with us into different? I mean, what is soul DNA? I mean, do we carry attributes from those bodies with us? What I mean, I'm
Yes, yes, we do. And you can even have birthmarks or a freckle pattern or um, a disposition in a different part of your body, a stance that comes from another lifetime. And just like we have our genetic DNA from our parents' lineage and that shows up in this lifetime, we're also carrying the DNA of our parents' spiritual lineage
mm,
and the DNA from let me explain this. So you have a soul circle. This is my understanding of it when it was explained to me from the way I asked the question, is that we have a soul circle and we have inner circles and then we have another circle and it sums up the whole of our human experience. So the inner circle that is closest to you, everyone in that circle has been with you in other lifetimes. It's like you're in school and you go through school and you have the same kids going with you from grade to grade to grade, and some of them are your inner circle of closer friends, and some of them are people that are the bullies on the outer side, and some of them are just, yeah, I remember you from grade 2 or 3, right? And then you have the few, if you're lucky and you choose it, they go through your whole lifetime with you and you know them for your whole life. It's the same on the soul side. You are an infinite soul that always was and always will be. And you are surrounded by a circle of souls that resonate with the same energy and are on the same level, going through the same grades of awareness and evolution. So just like we evolve from a child to an adult in this lifetime, we evolve from a child soul to an adult soul in the next lifetime. And just like you might want to be a mechanic when you're 9 and a psychologist when you're 30,
mhm.
that's the way it evolves there too. You go through different schools. In fact, I had an experience. My father comes in very often. He's been dead for decades, but my father comes in all the time. He stops in with me almost every day and has a cup of coffee with me. My mom, I hardly ever see her, but she'll send me symbols and signals all the time. I mean, I've had a butterfly show up in the middle of an English winter when everything was frozen,
Hmm.
a live butterfly that many people saw and tried to take pictures of. Here's the interesting thing: nobody got a picture of the butterfly
Mm.
except me.
Wow,
So,
that's
you know,
interesting.
interesting.
What about
Yeah.
cardinals? I hear cardinals are like always a representation.
All birds are representation.
Yeah,
Birds are just, all animals are a representation of something, and their energy resonates with some part of us, even the ones that we don't know and interact with, because we're all in the field.
sure. Now you said that's this idea of circles, soul circles, was given to you or told to you by I'm assuming when you had your near death experience.
Yeah, that was kind of progressive. It's really interesting that each one of my experiences was a layer, another layer, and each layer brought me closer to the awareness that I needed to do more work on myself. But it also brought me to an awareness that it was never about the other person.
Mm. So
So
do me a favor. First near death experience. What did you experience?
the first near death experience was in 1983, and I was rushed out of, I was living in Indonesia at the time, and I was teaching in an international school there. And I was rushed out of um, Medan, the city I lived in, to Singapore on a company emergency flight. My husband at the time was working for Mobil Oil Indonesia, and we had a company set of planes and a company doctor, and they found a really large tumor on my ovary, and they rushed me out. I was really, really sick. And my husband was not there. He was in the field far away, so he had no idea I was taken out. My children were left with friends, and I was just dumped on this plane and rushed to a hospital. I knew I was dying when they were taking me off the plane. I really felt myself separating. And I don't have any recollection of whether my heart stopped there or not. I just, I had no recollection after that physical recollection. I guess I was resuscitated and rushed into surgery, and they stabilized me and then proceeded to take this tumor that was going to burst out of my body. And oh, it makes me shake even now when I
Mm.
think about it. And I was in a hospital in Singapore where all of the medical professionals that I ever dealt with spoke perfect English, were very highly educated and very conversant in English. And it's what they learned and took their medical degrees in. And I was suddenly out of my body, and I was above them in the room looking down at me. And then I was back. And when I woke up, I could just, they talk about the celestial choir and they talk about the way angels sound when they sing. Well, that's what I heard. And I was filled with such incredible love and such incredible peace. And I felt like I was dripping, bleeding blood. I was hemorrhaging love everywhere. And um, then I kept I was an idiot on love for about a year and a half. And then I kind of like got back into my life and everything kind of went back to normal, and I submerged it. I'm really good at submerging things. So I submerged it, and I didn't realize that that would be a talent that would help me to grow later. Then it was just not facing up to what was in front of me. So I got to have more experiences that cycled me around again. And then just a few years later, bam, I was back in surgery again, and this time for cancer that was the precursor from the tumor I had. And I full out died on the table. And I was fortunate enough to know the one of the nurses that was in the surgery with me. Her name was Lily, and she was very precious to me. And she came in, she was off duty, but she and my doctor, another doctor that I was dear friends with, saw that I was in this emergency surgery list. So they gowned up, washed up, came in, and they were there as they were putting me under. And they say, "Hey, we're here. We're just going to hold your hands and hang out here with you. And so you know you're really safe because we know you feel really scared." Because I was a young mother, and here I was in this position again. So I went out. They proceeded with the surgery, and bam, I died again. I don't handle anesthetic well. It's a kind of like a springboard to the other side for me. So I went, and this time my father was there. All these beautiful lights, and they all presented the way I see auras. It came to me the way everything came to me in a small child. But while I was kind of like in this space between there, the beautiful lights of all colors coming towards me, and recognizing and feeling my father, I was also very focused on what was happening down below me. And I could hear the doctors talking, and they were all working frantically, and they were getting the paddle and everything ready and zapping my heart, and no response, and zapping it again. And it was really, the weird thing was they stopped speaking English and they were all speaking Mandarin. And I was like, oh my God. And I don't speak Chinese. I don't understand it. I can only say good morning and hello and to a taxi driver where I need to go if I need to use it. But I don't speak this language. And how is it I can understand it? And then the thought came into my space, um, oh God, I'm dead. And I literally said, oh God, I'm dead again. And boom, I was there. I didn't have the tunnel experience. I didn't have the huge,
Hmm.
gigantic auras or anything like that. I was there in the light, and all the light was coming to me. I was just in it, and it was coming to me. And as the lights came forward, I recognized my father, and I could feel and see him as my father, but I also saw him as the light that he truly is in the soul world.
Hmm.
And it was, why am I here, Dad? I'm not supposed to be here. And he said, well, I didn't think you were supposed to be here either, but here you are. So there's a reason for it. And now we have to stay, and you have to talk to the powers. And I'm going, what powers? And then I could see all of these other people that I knew from my life, my grandparents and friends and other family members. And then I saw people that I didn't know from this lifetime, but I felt the same love for. And that's when I asked, well, who are these? These are other members of your soul circle. They've been with you through many lifetimes, but not in every lifetime. So that's what I mean about a soul circle. Everyone that's in your life now, good, bad, or indifferent, has been in your lifetime in another lifetime, in a different relationship with a different value. And they might have been a different sex, they might have been a completely different type of person, but they're in your lifetime, they're in your soul circle forever. You're
Hmm.
always attached, going through together.
And how long were you there?
17 minutes.
That's like eternity on the other side, though.
That is like eternity. And I saw lifetime after lifetime that I didn't attach to or know then were mine. I had the experience of meeting all of these people. I had the souls. I had the experience of intense peace at the same time feeling intense anxiety. And the anxiety, what was holding me, I was terrified for my children. I was terrified to leave my children alone. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be gone. I wanted to go back. I kept telling them this is a mistake. I really need to go back to my children. My husband doesn't even, know what's
Mhm.
going on. And it was all. It felt. It felt like a lifetime, and it felt like a second, all in the same time. And I do. No, I didn't see the powers in that one. That happened in the next near-death experience. And I don't call them the powers. That was my father's words. I call them the guardians or the guides. They're the high guardians. So they would be like um, the precursors to what Sylvia Brown calls the powers of justice next to God.
Hmm.
So I didn't see it in that light at all, but just as
Were they
that.
intimidating looking? Like, were they very
Oh, no,
intimidating?
no, no. I wish I was downstairs with you. I would show you a painting of them that a friend of mine who's a very empathic and mediumistic painter, without ever knowing my experience, he actually painted a series of paintings which now hang on my walls that I never discovered until 20 years later
Hmm.
uh, in his
But
castle.
they do they look like the guides?
It looks exactly like my experience.
Really?
It's exactly there. There's 12 of them. They're white lights coming forward. They're towering. They're like the Empire State Building compared to McDonald's on the corner. And the McDonald's on the corner is all the rest of us.
But all right. So you and I were talking about, I was telling you that here on Earth, I want to be a co-creator with God, and you were saying we are God creating. We are a version of God, or are part of that source creating with Him. So are we? When you go to the other side, do you get that same message? Do you get that we are all a part? We are all the one?
You are not separate in any way from anything on the other side, to the degree which you choose it. You have choice on the other side, just like you have choice here. You can choose who to hang with, where to hang, how to hang, and what you're going to learn. You're given. Think of it as being back in high school when you're just in grade 7 and you're a little bit intimidated and you're so excited because now you're going to go and hang with the big kids, right? And you're going to get to be part of all of this great high school experience. And then you get through that and now you're in grade 12 and you're graduating like my grandson is next month. And it's like, oh wow, now I'm a little bit intimidated because I'm going to go out there in the real world and I got to get a real job over the summer and I've got to be, getting ready to go to college. And oh, that's another whole level of experience. That's what it's like.
Hmm.
It's quite it's quite similar to what we do here, except there is no judgment.
Hmm.
Judgment is a construction of humanity.
So let me ask you this: what about? I mean, there obviously is light and darkness, right? Good
Duality. Absolutely.
dualities, good and bad. What happens to the bad, like the people that are in this
Oh, one of my
incarnation?
favorite questions. So, on the other side, my experience, and this is my experience, and what I found when I went there is that there is no judgment. God does not judge, God does not devalue, God does not evaluate. We are all souls in a quantum cosmic energetic soup that is everywhere and it spreads everywhere. And sometimes we choose in lifetimes to be work the dark side, to be a teacher for the light workers that have to come forward and find their strength and their power. And so to become a light worker, I mean, there are a few that are born like that. They're just born of the light and they just give nothing but light from birth to death. And they're very um, revered people, but they all usually suffer. We all have challenges to grow our soul, to make us really lean into our integrity, to decide who we really want to be when we grow up, how we want to be. And the legacy that we leave is the energy that is the force for good or evil that we have chosen to be a part of. So the degree to which okay, this is spirit coming in now. So when my voice changes like this and it goes real gravelly and throaty, that's that spirit coming in. So there's like little messages coming in here. Um, so the degree to which we choose to be a force for good, regardless of what is put in front of us, regardless of the experience that we're having in the moment, to take the higher road, which some people would call martyrdom, and some people would call crazy, and some people would call why, you know, why
Mhm.
would you do something like that? In the face of all opposition, that is, the highest order. People to experience um, deep challenge, we have to have a Hitler. We have to have an Osama bin Laden. We have to have these uh, big figures that are the representation of the dark side or evil or whatever name you want to give it, that enables us as humanity of a whole to come together and go to the next level of awareness. That's why we've had every war. That's why we've gone through pandemics. That's why we are uh, always experiencing some kind of pressure to which we have to stand in our power and say, this does not stand. I won't stand for this.
Mm.
And then raise our power to do something about it for good. Now, what might seem evil to me might not seem evil to you. Either way, we're not going to be judged on the other side.
Mm.
There, all there is, I can tell you, is unmitigated love. Now, there are experiences where if you've had a, um, a less than beneficial lifetime, I mean, beneficial to yourself and to others throughout your lifetime. If you've had a less than beneficial lifetime, you're going to be in a different school than someone who's had a really beneficial, uplifting lifetime. And you know, you move through it just the way you move through grade school or high school. You're going to have some bullies, and you're going to have some angels, and you're going to have some great athletes, and you're going to have some that are just the thinkers.
Hmm.
It's very, very similar. The energy is just an expansion of what you already are, except that it's pure. There's value in it. There's no judgment. There's only love.
I love that. How do I raise, like, what can I do to raise my vibration? What can I do to connect with source, with spirit, and be in that zone, more consistently?
Mm, well, I downloaded a lot of principles. The first one is to connect your yourself, your mind body with your heart body. And when that connection is made, when you start your spiritual journey and you start to evolve the desire to be a human with a spiritual evolution happening at the same time as your body is evolving, I call that the marriage of sacred self with sacred soul. You bring the self, the physical mind body, together with the heart emotional body, and you get them to hold hands in the middle. And you have a deep desire to be attuned to discover more about energy, to discover more about how energy works, what is the spiritual element of it, how does it raise you up, how does it help the rest of humanity. You have a desire to be in service in some way, shape, or form. Everyone that is of service is on their spiritual journey, whether they're carrying groceries out to your car, they're sweeping the streets, or they're a politician or a psychologist or a coach like me. Whatever they're doing, if they're doing it from a place of space of service, regardless of what it is, the reason we're all here is not to find our purpose. uh, Finding, when I'm at the point in my life now when people say I don't know what my purpose is, I want to throw up,
Hmm.
because it's really not about finding your purpose ever. It's about being on purpose, in purpose, of purpose, in service, wherever you are, whoever you're with, whatever you're doing, with whatever is happening. And if you do that and you show up from that dynamic, there's no duality there. Stuff will happen. You will have challenges that you have to work through and noodle, but you will be in control. You'll be in the driver's seat of your mental life, your emotional life, your physical life, and especially your spiritual life.
I love that. Speaking of which, can I take that purpose and can I, let's say, like, man, I want to believe in this law of attraction thing. Envision myself, the future, the future self where I want to be. Now, I'm not talking about millions of dollars, Lamborghinis. I'm talking about just where I want to be and picture myself being the most fulfilled version of myself. I mean, family happy, kids happy, wife happy, me just firing on all cylinders, learning as much as I possibly can, just
Mm.
helping spread that light, helping people awaken to higher consciousness, accessing higher levels of data in the field. If I focus in on that throughout my meditation, if I do that, can I bring that forth in my life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You are a direct radio signal to the universe, and everything that you have in life is a result of the choice you've made. Now, one of my greatest teachers, and I bow to him to this day, was Neil Donald Walsh. Wayne Dyer, Carolyn Mace, Neil Donald Walsh, and Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton, I think, are heroes. Joe Dispenza as well. So the hmm, the first thing is to choose always to be calm in your life. There's going to be times where you're excited, times where you have a lot of pop, pop, sis, boom, ba going on. And there's going to be times when you're not. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep the center calm. Calm is communicating with yourself. Calm is having clarity about your choices. Calm is cooperation. And when you are clear and you communicate with yourself from your truth, not somebody else's truth, your truth. What's true for you might not be true for me. If you live from your truth and you model that, I see that in you. That's authenticity. That's not being afraid to be vulnerable. That's owning your voice. And when you communicate with clarity, you make great choices. When you make great choices, you create cooperation with yourself. You get that mind map and that heart map to hold hands. And when that happens, your resonance goes poof. You're like fireworks. You don't dim down your light. You're not afraid to be who you are. The number one thing is always speak your truth, not someone else's. If someone tells you this is a truth and you dig into it and it resonates with you and you know it to be true for you from your experience, then own it. Incorporate that. That's your truth. If somebody tells you something and your intuition, your heart says, whoa, wait a minute, back up, buddy. This doesn't feel like truth for me. Trust that. Keep your life simple. Trust your intuition and act on it. Speak your own truth. Acknowledge what's important to you. To be anything for anyone, to have anything with anyone, you have to first be it and have it for yourself. How you treat yourself, how you honor yourself, how you show up for yourself is how you will show up in every relationship. So, the primary person that you need to love, the primary person that you need to have your best relationship with is you. And if you show up as the best you can be, always working on elevating yourself, your awareness, your love, you're on purpose and you will attract more of everything that you want because you are just energy. When you are not showing up with your truth, not showing up on purpose, in service, wherever you are, you're going to dim down your light. And when you dim down your light, you're going to attract more of the same dim lights. It's not rocket science. You need to just really keep it simple. Keep it simple. And you can be studying very complex things and moving through very complex situations in your life, and you can still keep it simple if you're true to yourself and true to your truth. And think thoughts that are inspiring. And if you can't think any thoughts, go open an inspiring book and read it until you're inspired. There's inspiration all around us. Um, Clean your energy field. That's the number one problem that I think 99% of the planet has. We spend a lot of time tending our things, cleaning our cars, cleaning our houses, cleaning this, cleaning that. We brush our teeth every night before we go to bed. How often do we clean our energy? The most
Well, how do you do
important
that? How do you do that?
meditation.
Hmm.
And you know, that's a great one. But meditation is not oming on the gloaming for hours. Because really, in this lifetime, unless you're a monk or a teacher or have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of time for hours and hours of meditation. So, again, keep your life simple. A meditation is what we talked about earlier, Trey. It's when you're out running in nature or walking in nature and you feel that breeze and you smell those leaves and you see that green and you see the blue of the water and the swans landing on the water or the crow calling from the pine tree. And you resonate with that and you bring that energy into you. When you do, when you focus on it, it becomes a part of you. And you know from your experience that expands what you feel and you feel connected to it. And that connection is the connection to all that is. And they're connected to you too. And when you don't feel it or you feel something that's not of your field and doesn't feel comfortable, pay attention to that too. That's telling you this isn't good for your energy. Back away. Be cognizant. Be coherent. Make a choice.
Hmm.
And then when you clean your energy field, I'm all about auras and chakras and doing aura and chakra work. And Um, I'm all about prayer and angel invocations and doing. I'll give you a really simple one that I do every day. I used to have this long prayer and invocation. I still have a toolkit of it that I give to all my clients. I just get in the shower every morning. When I wake up, the first thing I say is, "Thank you, God, I'm alive another day." And then I get out of bed and I make myself a cup of tea and I come right back to bed because I like to sit there and journal for a little bit and think about what my intentions are. And when I think about what my intentions and I say, what does this feel like? And then I feel what part of my body I feel it in. And I feel where there's any stuck energy. What am I in resistance to? What am I procrastinating about? What choice is hanging over me that I don't want to make? And I set an intention to bring forward whatever energy I need to clear that out. And then when I get in my shower, I imagine the water coming through my head, through the crown chakra, and bringing in all that beautiful, pure purple and white light, and coming down through each one of my chakras, my third eye, my throat, my heart, my solar plexus, my sacral, and my root. And as it comes, as that water's pouring on the top of my head and over my body, it's taking all of the dead, stuck, dirty energy that I've accumulated from bad thoughts, watching too much Netflix, doing whatever I've done that really I could have been doing a higher level bit. And it got stuck there because I did whatever choice that was, and getting it out of my body. And it goes down the drain. And then I sit there for a minute or I stand there for a minute because you can do this in the bathtub too. Fill it, let the water soak it all out, and then pull the plug and let it go down the drain. When I shower after that, I reach down and I call to the Mother Earth and I say, bring me back the clear, clean energy. And literally with my hands, I bring it up my legs to my root chakra and all the way up the chakras, just like the other. And then I hold my hands up, clean, clear, and connected.
Hmm.
It's really simple. It takes less than 2 minutes.
I love it.
And I do that like I brush my teeth every day.
Hmm.
When I go to bed at night, when my feet leave the floor, before they leave the floor, I sit on the edge of my bed and I thank my conscious self, my ego, and my body for keeping me safe all day, keeping me on track, doing all the things that I have to do in my busy life. And I invite my busy mind and my busy body to rest, the deepest rest it can feel. And then before I lie down, I welcome my subconscious, unconscious to come forward to protect me and guide me during the night and to bring me the messages in my dream time and in my awareness time. And, we all have a witching hour sometimes when we wake up and we wonder why we're awake. It's because we're receiving a message, we're receiving energy, and we need to be physically awake to receive that part of it. So whenever you wake up now, don't just say, oh, damn, I'm awake again and I want to go back to sleep. Say,
Oh, I thought this was I had to use the bathroom. I just,
yeah, well, generally, yeah, because that's why. Because you know what? What did I tell you? Where energy goes, fluid flows. And that's really the truth. When you wake up in the middle of the night, no matter what, and you have to go to the bathroom, you're getting dead energy out of your body. And
There you go.
urine is a vehicle.
That is so funny. What right now, if you can draw from spirit, like what do my listeners need to hear right now?
Be engaged now. Your life is now, here now, wherever you are on the planet, whatever is happening, it's now. The past is gone. You can't do anything about it. The future is going to come from what you choose now. If you are not now here in every present waking moment, you are nowhere.
Hmm. Donna, how can people find out more about you? Where can they go to hire you as a life changing spirit coach?
Oh, please go to www.donnafairhurst.com, capital D, capital F.
Hmm. I
And
might
it's
have to go over there and sign
Fairhurst.
up.
Please do. When you go to my page, you're going to get my very favorite and first element of my spiritual toolkit that I use for all of my clients and teach them how to use. And that's the clearing prayer and manifesting prayer.
Hmm.
If you want to talk about the law of attraction, that one's going to put you on the speed for law of attraction.
What do you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be a bunch of beautiful, shining men and women that have found their spiritual path, have defined their journey, that know who they are, what they want, and where they're going with it, and then do it.
Hmm.
And
Donna, this has been, I can't even explain to you how amazing this has been. My heart chakra is on fire.
oh my God, mine too. I feel the connection. This has been amazing for me. I just love, love, love your show.